All right, how you guys doing? This is Dr. Jeff coming to you from Rythmia Life Advancement Center. Usually, this is our CEO's Facebook Live, Jerry, but I'm filling in for him today, and I'm going to be talking to one of our guests this week and interviewing her, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her experience at Rythmia, which has been awesome. So these Facebook Live events are really cool because they help you guys get a glimpse into what we're dealing with guests, and get to share a little bit about Rythmia, and they can help you guys understand our goals down here. And we have, here she is right now. Come on in, Rachel. She just got here. We have a process that we use here, a program we've been able to fine tune it over the years, or over the year and 8 months we've been open. And what we do is we have a really set, tailored program that helps people get what we call their miracle. And the miracle is the reuniting of the soul with the self. And that manifests in so many ways. It manifests through achieving sort of goals they had or intentions. It also sometimes takes them by surprise and helps them realize some things that they didn't even know were issues for them. You know, what I love about plant medicine, especially ayahuasca, is that it has a component that helps us address the issues in our subconscious. So there's a lot going on at Rythmia, and it's really exciting. And as the chief medical officer here, you know, I'm the guy responsible for all the medical policies and the protocols. I interface with the government here in Costa Rica, who is just super cool. And we have a really safe facility for you guys to do this work. Now, there's lots of places that do ayahuasca. We're the only one that's licensed in the world medically to do so. And because of that, we have a lot of safety here. And it's a really great place for you to come and experience this your first time, or if you've done it many times. All right, this is Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so I like to, what Jerry does each week is he likes to pick a guest who's having an awesome week. And we talk a little bit about what's been going on for them and their process here at Rythmia. So Rachel has been doing amazing work, and she's going to talk a little bit about that. You know, I'm going to ask her some questions. But first of all, like, how are you doing right now? It's been a week. You've been
I'm
here
good.
a week.
I've been here a week. I have another week, and I feel like I've gotten a lot that I've needed so far. Mm-hmm. Things that I've wanted to know that I haven't asked for, I've found the answers to, which is like so amazing, because it was my intention before I came here. But when Jerry goes through all like the different intentions of not having, you know, specific questions that you want answered in case they don't get answered, which they always do, but kind
of takes the pressure off a little bit.
I didn't want to have very high expectations. I just wanted to find out what I needed to know. So just having that intention behind that, I already got that. So wow, and I have one more week left.
What
so that's
before you got here, right? Tell me what you were going through a little bit in your life. Like, what kind of stuff was leading up to you coming to Rythmia?
A lot of different things that had happened in my life. That I always suffered from anxiety, and that was just something that really started to interfere truly with my life, like the joy that I could be having, the relationships, just things that are, you know, and people around me. I was maybe interacting with the wrong people, or putting too much pressure on myself, or just, you know, the insecurity and just like this lack of confidence when I should have it. I knew something was missing, and certain things, even though I'm a good person and I really do try, and I was doing all the right things in my life that I needed to be doing, something just wasn't right. And someone told me that maybe something radical like iboga would help. But so that's how I found out about Rythmia, about plant medicine. When I started looking that information up. And
because you know, as you guys know, and as you know, Rachel, we don't do iboga here, but we do plant medicine. We do ayahuasca here, which is medically licensed. And so looking in the avenue of plant medicine, right, to try to figure out.
That's what got me into the whole idea of it. And I learned that iboga is not for me, and it's a very intense, very much longer experience for people who may suffer from addictions that I didn't have, but I needed like more of the loving feminine energy, which ayahuasca is. So
cool.
That's how I found Rythmia. And when I looked up everything online about Rythmia, that's when I knew that I felt like I had a calling to come here.
Okay. I remember when you got here, right? Because I did your medical intake, right? And you were awesome. Like you were excited, you know. But
I thought I was gonna cry when I first saw you because I watched all the Facebook lives before.
But I'm sure you were probably a little nervous too, right? To start off the week, right? So tell me about how you were feeling when you first got here.
Okay, well, so when I first got here, it was I came by myself, and I've never gone out of the country by myself. And I looked around me, and everyone was hugging and doing this to people, to each other, and I'm like, okay, they obviously had a very intense experience and a bond that I'm not in. But I wasn't worried about it. I was just kind of observing, and the energy was really strong. So that was just an intense feeling because I didn't know, as much how to really deal with that. But so you helped me a lot just with our talks. But as the week went on, I started to have my own interactions, and you learn that like everyone here is a family. It's a soul family. So the people that you come here and you meet, you are meant to meet them, and it's just everyone here. Like by the end of this week, everyone's like, I just walk by someone, it's an instant hug, and I feel the love, and it's such a cool thing that I've never experienced before.
Nice. Okay, good. That's great. It's interesting because a lot of people like yourself will come here alone and they're nervous, because this is a new type of experience. This is something that, Western science and Western medical model, isn't using, and it's not involved in. And so it's hard for people to sometimes believe that there can be such a huge shift for people so quickly, and coming from, the Western model that I came from, years and years of schooling and grad work and stuff at UCLA and in therapy in LA, I was told as a clinician that, traumas and addictions and anxiety and depression and all these kinds of things people deal with in the world take a very long time in a clinical setting to really kind of get over. So tell us a little bit about, like, even though you still have another week to go, which is really cool, and we're so stoked you're going to be here for another week, I feel there's been so much that's happened for you just in this first week, right? Some huge shifts and some realizations, right? Why don't you tell us a little bit about like what you've already achieved here?
Well, one, it does take a lot of courage and a lot of bravery to come, put yourself out there and really be vulnerable in a way that no one wants to do that. But to be able to just go into it, coming from, I've been through therapy, I've done different types of other therapeutic modalities throughout my whole life to just, feel good and look for it outside. I learned how to do it inside, and I learned through breath work, I learned through the plant medicine, and I learned that the feelings that I had about my family and about my parents, I learned, why I chose them. I saw that in one of my experiences, and it was just, I'll never have the same thoughts ever again that I had about my family, and it's truly, it is a miracle because now I'm able to bring that to them, and it's going to be such a different relationship that I've always wanted and prayed for, but I've never really been able to experience because I didn't understand why certain things had to happen and, why I behaved in a certain way or why other people around me were, just being the way that they are. I just had to learn that. And it's different from everyone knows, accept people and love them for who they are. It's very different when you actually see and know why, because it's in such a knowing love. It's in such a knowing way that you can't really explain until you do it, but it's so it's unquestionable. And for me, that was one of the things that before I came here, I struggled with was certain types of relationships with my parents, and that I wanted to have a much better loving, trusting relationships where I could enjoy being, in that type of setting. So I learned things that for me are much more profound and deeper than sitting in a, with a therapist and talking about things for an hour or whatever. Much faster in the plant medicine. And I only did it's offered 4 nights. I only did it 2 nights so far because I'm spacing it out. I needed that for me. So being able to learn that was just
and you got empowered.
Wisdom.
You've become empowered here. So it's such a great thing that you mentioned. It's like, change has always been looked at, like for us back in the US, right? That it's this external thing. Like, okay, so if your family's, if you're not getting along with your parents, it must be because, they're
something's wrong with me.
Or something's wrong with you, or they're rigid, or they don't understand. Or I have anxiety, let's say, so I got to change something on the outside. I got to change my environment. I got to change my friends, whatever. So what's great about what you said, a lot of what you said is amazing, right? But one thing that stands out is that it's about internal change. It's about your own process. It's about your own work. It's you and totally individually you. And that's what's wonderful about Rythmia, because, people, like I used to have patients that had trauma back in LA, and it would take, sometimes years for them to get to a place where they could actually trust me. I remember one patient in particular who had severe trauma, and I was with her for like 2 years, and then she finally started to show me the real self, right? Who she was. I was like, man, this took way too long. Like, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's a huge sacrifice. Like 2 years of therapy, and now you're just starting to show me your real self that we can do work. So that's not really practical for most people. So what I love about Rythmia and about our program here and all the modalities we offer is that it's a quick change, and it's a real change, and it's a strong change, and it's something that sticks with you, and it gives you the empowerment to make those life shifts. Now, for example, you just said, like, before your relationship with your parents and family and friends and stuff was like a little rough, right, for several years. But now it's already starting to shift. It's already starting to shift, right? And what's changed in that dynamic? You have.
Right. And there's something called a simulation that I've started to notice, which is when something comes up in your life around you that proves to you that you're in alignment with the universe and you're where you need to be in the right place at the right time. So I know that it's working within other people because I've already seen the changes happen with other people when I'm the one who's here doing the work. So that's been interesting.
That's really cool.
Observe.
Like family systems theory in psychology, right, is that a real change can't only come from an individual within a system. It has to come from the system itself. Right. So that's
an outcast or
exactly. So like your own individual work you've been doing has already shifted your family dynamic and your friend dynamic and your environment dynamic, because the energy you're realizing for yourself is so positive and healing and loving and appropriate that it's like everyone's eager to respond to that. And your family obviously loves you very much, and they're open to it, and they've wanted this too. And so like you were like the catalyst.
I was the one to sacrifice.
That's good.
It's also like certain people that you're like, oh, well, I did this and now I messed up and now they're not in my life anymore. But I see now that the people who are not in my life anymore were actually not healthy for me, and were not meant to be. But I put so much on myself that, when you blame yourself for things, and everyone makes mistakes, but when you do certain things that, someone else may project that onto you and make you feel bad, the guilt and shame that you go in that circle and cycle of that is something that Rythmia has really helped me get out of, because I see during the plant ceremonies why certain things had happened and why it led up to where it needed to be. And for me, that was like, I'm in my head a lot, so I need to understand things in order to let it go. So because it gave me just the insight at such a higher level than you can ever get from, talk therapy, that was what I needed to be able to let it go. And the shaman came over to me and he was like, it's gone. And it literally, I could feel it just go. And it was really cool.
Well, the great thing about having a medically licensed facility is that we have doctors and nurses and psychologists here, but we also have shaman here. And the shaman are very powerful healers who are highly skilled, and we get to interact with them, you know, a Western medicine with a shamanic sort of vibe. Those things together are really powerful, really cool, super cool. Do you think that, even though, you know, I always talk about this on my Facebook Lives, like going into the jungle is cool, it'd be exciting adventure, right? And a lot of people have a great experience, and you know, I think it'd be super cool. But would you have gone into like, you know,
I personally would never do that. I need a nice setup.
You like the comforts of here, right? Yeah.
But it's also really, you know, the way that it's set up is everyone has their own bed, and you are kind of outside, but it's a safe area. There, you know, you can see trees and animals and different things that people want to see when they think they take like a hallucinogenic. But it's not. It's, for me, I learned, and I'm sure I know for other people, it's really not that way. It's more, I see how the plant medicine and my soul are working together. And, you know, if it's really your intention behind what you want to get out of it. So if you want to see like cool shapes and go to the moon and whatever, yeah, I'm sure that you can do that. But for me, my intention was to find out answers. So I got the consult, which was her talking to me all night long in a very comfortable, safe setting. So when we're all laying down there, I was like, one of my fears was, oh, I don't want to absorb the energy of other people. And it's really not like that. And I also had asked a couple questions. Oh, if someone is screaming or crying or whatever, is that going to give me, you know, is that going to distract me from my experience, what I'm going through? And it doesn't, because you're so in your own mind about what's going on. So that really was not a problem.
That's good. That's good, because, you know, there's a lot of unknowns for people when they're going to come and do plant medicine. 90+% of our guests, it's their first time. So obviously we're sensitive to that, and we are aware, and we're actually, you know, super happy when people come their first time. You know, we got people that are veterans too, veteran plant medicine people, but the beauty of the Rythmia program as a whole is that it's tailored for people that don't have a lot of experience in these areas. So it's really safe and it's comfortable, and the staff are very supportive, and they'll meet with you. They'll make sure that you feel comfortable. They'll make sure that you have what you need, and they'll talk to you. And there's a lot of classes we have. Our CEO, Jerry Powell, does About Your Miracle class on Mondays before it's the first morning that people are here. And it really sets everybody up for a great experience with the plant medicine. So tell me, what has it been like seeing, you know, the whole range of different kind of clients, right, that have come here? Like you mentioned, for you, you know, you got some family dynamic that was a little stressful, and then some friend issues, and then some anxiety and some lack of clarity in your own life, right? But you've seen a whole, not to mention anybody's names or anything like that, but like you've seen a range of different types of situations this week, right?
Yeah.
And what have you seen as an outcome for all the people that, you know, most of them left today, Saturday, and some of them leave tomorrow? Like, what do they look like? How are they acting? Like, what's their vibe? What was your observations?
Yeah, the first week I got here, Thrive was here, and I had watched that movie, so that was really cool to meet people who, you know, I had watched that film. And everyone is just very open to meeting other people from all walks of life. So just, you know, everyone looks very different. Everyone is very, very different. There's a lot of people who have had serious trauma who have never dealt with it before. And there's people who are just very spiritual and keep to themselves and want to, you know, have that relationship with the plant medicine or with God or whatnot. I've seen some people freak out and
in a good way,
but they've overcome that. Yeah, they've overcome that, and they learned from it, and they learned that was what they needed to go through to have a release. And everyone is able to do that because it's such a safe place. It's such a safe place and beautiful place to be able to open your heart and your mind to do medicine like that. I've learned that, you know, we're all really all connected, and you really do see that. So before, I might have been judgmental of someone that maybe looked different, or that, was going through a lot, but when you take the time to go out of your way and just get out of your comfort zone and meet someone and just say, oh, how are you doing? How was your night? You really learn about everyone and how we all are connected. And it's been nice. I've met people that I'm going to have friendships with and connections that have blown me away that I'll have for the rest of my life. And then there's other people that I know I've met in a different lifetime. Mm-hmm. So it's been really cool. There's been some famous people here, which to me, that's not, that doesn't matter, but we are all the same and we all have issues that we need to deal with. And it's the ones who really want to just take a chance and improve themselves in their lives and that will go the extra mile. It's really how the world is going to change. That's great. I agree completely. And what's interesting too is that I see a change in you totally from the first day I met you. Like you look different. You have a different aura to you, different vibe. It's really, really cool. Obviously you looked fine before, you look great. But I'm saying your face is like, there's not stress there. It's like clear, you're clear. Yeah. Your eyes are clear, you're clear. And it's a really grounded sort of zone, that I can immediately notice. Sometimes it's hard to notice I don't know if you notice yourself, but it's hard to notice when it's yourself sometimes. Yeah, completely. Right? But I'm letting you know that like you have changed in a way that like all the sort of baggage or emotional sort of stressors are gone. And you're clear, and it's really cool. And that's what I see in all these guests that leave. Yeah. They come here and you can see it on their face, like they have a lot they're dealing with. They have a lot they're holding on to. And when they split from here, they're a different person. They're actually who they truly are, is what that is. Right. And the answer really is within yourself. I learned that, you do separate from your soul from either 0 to 5 years old or even after that, depending on, if you've had trauma in your life or not. And if you haven't, God bless you. But there's always going to be something that people may stumble down the road. And when you get out of that comfort zone and you're not able to get back in touch with yourself, it's a shitty feeling. So when you're able to come back and really accept everything in your life, and I've done different things to do that, everything to do that. But really the plant medicine is, I could have saved thousands and thousands of dollars. That's the truth. Yeah. I mean, think about what like a regular protocol of therapy and different stuff in the back home would cost to get where you got right now. Right. I mean, it's priceless, really, and it's attainable for everybody, to some degree. It's a place where, the whole program we offer is in unison with each individual's needs. And the beauty of Rythmia is that it doesn't miss anybody. It gets everybody's zone of where they're vulnerable, where they need to be. Right. And it helps everybody progress and get plugged into themselves. It really does. And a lot of people may be scared to do it. I was scared to do it because I don't want something that's going to take the control away from, my physical body and just this experience. A lot of people don't want to have that like bug out session, but when you're in such a safe setting, the way that it's set up and the intention behind it is so profound, and Rythmia has that. That is here for people who want to do it, and I would recommend and suggest it to everyone. And the other thing, I saw people who, were really shy the first night. They did it all 4 nights, and the way that we had a closing group today, which is just, everyone kind of shares, if you want, their experience. And the miracles that people got, like 90% of people in the room all raised their hand, and they were able to express themselves in a way where the first day that I met them, I was like, oh wow, this person has a lot that they are going to go through. And it's been amazing to really be a part of. It's an honor to be a part of this and to be able to see other people change and shift, as do I. But it's when you see it with other people, that you are able to do the same. And that is really, really special. Very cool. Very cool. I second that completely. Like back in LA,
when I was running different health agencies, whether it was a rehab in Malibu or a division of the UCLA Med Center, working in the locked psychiatric units, my private practice, all these different healthcare environments, the Department of Health in Hawaii. What I noticed in all these places, like I said earlier, is like the duration of time that it takes is so long and it's so costly. And it's just like a revolving door of treatment that it kind of just maintains people at best and often makes people worse. And so what I love about Rythmia is that it's fast, it's real, and it's your own individual work. And my belief, like you were saying about the safety, is that it has to be a safe environment to do this kind of deep work quickly. And my goal here, what I do at this facility, aside from managing the staff and maintaining the licenses, my number one goal is to create a safe environment for all these guests to go through their own individual process. And so that's what I do here 24/7. And I'm good at it, and I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to say that. It's a safe place. It's a safe place in all areas. It's ethical, it's legal, it's medical, and it's safe. And so, you know, all these guests, like they're leaving today, they did their week, and some leave tomorrow. You know, they're up there crying. They're up there crying, and because they're so happy and they're so excited for like what happened. You know, it's beautiful. So, what do you see for yourself, like? You know, obviously when you go back home, right, like you got a supportive environment, it's really cool, like that's a blessing. What do you see happening for yourself, like energetically or at least, you know, emotionally for yourself when you get back home? Like, are you nervous? Are you not? Like, what kind of goals do you have, like, as you get back into transitioning home?
Yeah, I'm definitely glad I have one more week here. I booked it so I would have 2 weeks. I had the time, and I was able to plan it out where it was going to work for me that way. So for me, 2 weeks is good. 1 week, you get a lot out, and your life does change in a week, but for me, I wanted 2. So one thing that I really wanted to find out was what my purpose was going to be. I used to own a Pilates studio, and I was very successful in that. And I knew that, you know, it was something that I loved to do, but it wasn't something that was, you know, going to be a true forever thing where I used to be. So I learned what my purpose was, and I kind of knew that, but I wasn't too sure, and I was always questioning it because it wasn't something that I really wanted to choose. So it's actually going to be exciting to go out into this life and to have this, you know, experience with just the knowing that I'm doing what is my true self and what's true to me, and it's going to be able to give back to a lot of people. So I know that I'm going to gain even more tools when I leave here. And I've also learned a lot from the guests, because some people have come here and they've done it before. Other people have come here and they never have done it before. But everyone brings something to the table. Everyone that I've come and had an interaction with, I really have learned from. And so it's been the people that I've, you know, met, and I will always take those skills and tools and really bring that to when I go home. So also all the Facebook lives are really helpful because you're able to just, you know, continue the journey. And another thing is, you know, before when you would meet someone, it's like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Now it's like you're so open, and it's like, oh, wow, I wonder, you know, who this new individual is, what this person is in my life, why I'm crossing this path. And you just never know who you're going to meet. And if you're living through in your heart and out of your head, it's just a different life. And I'm happy. I'm grateful to be able to experience that moving forward.
That's a great way to say that. I mean, that's right on the money. It's perfect. Like what let's switch roles, right? You want to be the chief medical officer here, and I'll come once in a while as a client. You'd be great. You'd be great. You would. What I always talk about is vulnerability is authenticity. So if I'm vulnerable, if I make myself vulnerable in a healthy way, I'm really actually being super authentic. And so we learn in society that vulnerability is weakness. And we also learn if we've come from abusive backgrounds, like let's say childhood or whatever, if we're vulnerable, that means we're weak and that we can be taken advantage of, right? So
yeah, especially for men.
Yeah, exactly. So what you learn here is that there's a healthy vulnerability that allows you to connect with first yourself and then others. And so that's being authentic. So vulnerability means authenticity, and you can't be happy, plugged in, connected, and grounded unless you're authentic. And the only way to be authentic is if you make yourself vulnerable. So we teach people here at Rythmia how to be vulnerable in a healthy way, in a way that allows them to plug into themselves. And so that's the beauty of our program. And as Rachel said, like, that's, you know, exactly what you've been experiencing here.
Yeah, I mean, I was hesitant to come on Facebook Live and share my personal, you know, experience with with the world, but I realized that, you know, I know that I have to be true to myself in order to, you know, be happy and live an authentic life. And when you surrender to that, good things will start to happen, and you see that happen in your life.
Yeah, it's true. And you know, it's like there's so many, like I was saying earlier, there's a range of issues that guests present and bring, you know, day one here. And everybody's a little, you know, nervous and hesitant, and sometimes even, you know, they're doubtful because they've been through so much before they got here to try to, like, get right. And I look at every guest straight in the eye on the intake and I tell them, you will get your goal and you will have your miracle here, because it happens to everybody that comes. 93% of our guests have this happen to them. And so I can say with great confidence that you're going to get what you come for, and you're going to get it in a way
and
that's
even more. Like, one thing that happened to me, which was pretty amazing. I was in a car accident in 2009 and I had herniated discs in my neck. And the first night, I was having all these funny movements. She was making me laugh my ass off. And something that they do is celestial surgery. So I definitely made the stats go up for Rythmia, because she did surgery on my neck, and it's the weirdest and craziest experience that I've ever had in my life. But it was so cool, because since Monday night I have no pain in my neck whatsoever.
Very cool. Well, you know,
whatsoever.
Indigenous ancient cultures, and then those of us who are aware of this stuff, we all know that we can heal ourselves. Like, our body is an amazing mechanism of self-healing. And so in order to sell us products, in order to keep us sick, you know, the Western medical world says that you can't heal yourself. You need an expert to heal you, or you need these pills to heal you, or you need these surgeries to heal you. And the reality is, okay, well, if there's trauma, if I'm in a car accident, I break my neck, I probably do want to see an orthopedic surgeon or a trauma doctor maybe in that moment, but because that's going to, you know, because I don't want to die right there.
We all want instant relief,
of course,
instant gratification.
But what happens is that once you tap into yourself and into your soul, you can do your own healing, and you can heal your body completely and your mind, and you can stay in a zone that is a healthy zone for the rest of your life. So the spiritual healings, the celestial surgeries, right? Those things go on. They're very cool, and we see them every week. And they're just a way that our own body is healing our issues that we have.
Yeah.
You know? And it's an amazing thing to see.
The human body is very smart, and I realize I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. So, you know, the insight and intelligence that you can gain by doing plant medicine it's on another level. And I think that, you know, I'll share this. The first night.
Sure.
Okay. So the first night was pretty crazy for me. I fainted, and then I threw up all over my white pants, which whatever. I was safe and it was okay, and it didn't bother me, because I was in a safe place, and it was for what I needed at that time. So it's just making a choice, I think, to just go out of your comfort zone. You don't know what's going to happen. No one wants to get sick, but whatever happens, you know, I had looked up so many different things about Rythmia and plant medicine and all different types online before I got here. So I was pretty informed about the process and how Rythmia works and what goes on and whatnot. And it was, you know, just about letting go and letting what needs to happen. And so, you know, I wished on my birthday wish when I blew out the candles was just for the universe to show me what I needed to know. And my wish definitely came true this week. And I'm really grateful for Rythmia for creating this place that, you know, showed me.
We're grateful for you, because you make Rythmia what it is, you and the other guests that come here. You know, we just provide a safe environment for you to do this work, you know. So like, I'm not doing any of the work other than staying up all night making sure everybody's okay. but I'm, you know, the actual individual work is going on by you and the other guests. So this is just an environment where you can do that. You know, that's what's.
Yeah, there was someone, one of the guests this week, he had cancer, and he said that on his last night that he felt the medicine heal his body. And, you know, hearing that, it's like, oh no, if you have cancer, that's not going to happen. But it really is true. And there's been, I've watched and I've seen breakthroughs happen with people, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual. And you know, if you want to make a change in your life, everyone says, if you don't like the life you're living, you know, you can change it. This is a safe place to do it. And I think for a long time I wanted to, but I just didn't know how or where to go. If you're watching this right now and you're thinking about it, that's, you know, I hope you get something from this conversation. And that's a good question, Samira. Why is it only done at night?
That's a good question. Let's answer that. So we try as much as we can to stay true to the indigenous traditions of the plant medicine ayahuasqueros. And there's different reasons and different traditions of the shamans, and they often hold the ceremonies at night where they're from in their tribes and their areas in the jungle and stuff. So what I've come to understand by talking to the shaman over the years is that the energy of plant medicine is, it heightens a lot of your senses, and it helps you focus on yourself in a way that's therapeutically beneficial. Now, if it's the broad daylight and there's the sun's out, you can see everything all around you, it's actually kind of like, can be sensory overload. And there's a lot that you're trying to focus on you're trying to be grounded and connected, but then you see all the trees and you see the monkeys and you see the sun. And it's just a lot of stimulus for the event. So at night, it's a bit, obviously the senses are toned down a little bit at night, you know, and it's beautiful, the moon's out, you can still see things, but it's the energy of the night is more conducive to the energy of the plant medicine. So that's what I've come to understand is like the reason we do it at night. Also, there's a bunch of classes in the day.
Yeah, very busy schedule.
And we want you to go to the cleanse and the yoga and the massage, and go to the pool, go to the beach, and there's a lot of stuff going on here. So, you know, it just matches
more spiritual, I think.
It matches our schedule. It's more, there's a more spiritual vibe at night that's more therapeutically beneficial. So, well, great. So what I'd like to just say in closing here is I left the Western medical world of all the different modalities I was working in at a very high level in Los Angeles because I was frustrated as a clinician of hitting dead ends with my patients and seeing them over and over and over again in a revolving door of healthcare, not getting any better. I was sick of it. So when I discovered plant medicine for myself with the CEO, Jerry Powell, we had to get a place where people could actually shift and change and get what they want and be happy and connected in life. Because when you're connected to yourself, you can truly connect and have empathy for others. And when you have empathy for others, you don't want to harm anybody, and you can understand where people come from, and it's a more loving vibe, and that's how the world changes. All right.
Thanks.
Cool. Pura vida.
Pura vida.
All right, guys. Hope to see you guys soon.